So it's end of January, we're a couple of weeks into spring, and all farms have targets that we're trying to meet over the next couple of months. It's a critical time of year. We have targets, we have key performance indicators, which are KPIs, but what's really important is not one person cannot achieve all of this. So when you have people on your team, it's really important that everybody is part of setting the goals and the targets. I set in on a review yesterday. The team member had been on long-term holiday leave, so we only got around to doing the review yesterday, but it was really good to see Eric implementing the review, because he has some really key questions around the KPIs and what's going to be achieved in the next few months. What was really good was the questions he asked, so he got buy-in. The team member took responsibility and took actions out of it that he wanted and he felt he owned and he could achieve. So people want to feel good at the end of the day, and they want to have accountability. I think if somebody didn't want to have responsibility and accountability, they wouldn't be in farming. So I think we can take it that people want to have a bit of responsibility and accountability no matter what level they're at. So if you are an employee, it's really important that you understand your targets and that you're involved in setting them as well, because your performance is being measured against them. If you're an employer, if you have somebody takes ownership and accountability for it, it takes that ownership and responsibility off you, and you're free to, even your headspace is free to focus on another area of the business. So basically the key questions that I saw Eric use some of these yesterday, and these are other suggestions that we discussed afterwards that we thought are useful. I saw Eric, there was a KPI that the farm has, and he spoke with Theo and said, this is the KPI, how do you feel about that? But he asked some really good questions afterwards. So he said, are you confident to take on this KPI as your responsibility? And are you confident that you can deliver on this? It is a closed question. They're not the best questions, they're not good questions in general, but that question is a starting one, and it can lead on to further to your open questions. So Eric asked things like, what support do you need from me to deliver on that? And then it opened up the conversation. What are the roadblocks? Are there any roadblocks that you see, or what are the roadblocks you see to delivering on that? Again, it opens up the conversation. Other questions, what do you need to do to reach this goal? So Theo was able to say, well, I need, and he could break it down further, what did he need to do? The other question was, what, if anything, is restricting you from delivering on this? How will you feel when this is achieved, or how would you feel if it wasn't achieved? What do you need to do to avoid that feeling? So they're just key questions. So it's really important that you are prepared. I've said it in other videos, be prepared for them. Don't be afraid of silences, let the silences sit. We moved on to the competency framework that I've designed for ourselves, Saturn Farms, and it was so, seeing it in use yesterday with Eric was so good, because there was no confrontation, there was no you're not performing or you are performing or whatever. Theo was able to say, look, these are the things I'm really good at on the competency framework, and then these are the areas I need to focus on. So then they slotted into our development areas. So I would say is you need to engage your team in setting the objectives. They might be different than the objectives that you had in mind. Obviously you have key objectives that have to be met, but then there are others that the employee might feel is really important for them to deliver on their job. So if any questions on it at all, please let me know, and I hope you have a great spring.